Now for your astigmatism pleasure, it's Mr. Bit.
Yes. This camera is a piece of shit.
Well, you know, it might have something to do with that M word on it, you know. Except those are pretty good cameras, assuming you can turn all the software auto-fixing off.
Yeah.
Yep, but you have to be able to turn all of that shit off. So, yeah.
The audio's working pretty well on this?
Say that again?
Is the audio working fairly well on it?
It's a little airy, but it's okay. The mics suck on those things.
No, before I've always been using my mixer, and I had my microphone over here, and people have been saying the audio quality's bad. I mean, it sounds good to me on my systems, but I'll just try this mic and see if it's changed.
I think it's a combination of three things. I think it's a combination of the fact that this is trying to do software audio encoding here, Skype is trying to do smart audio fixing, and then they're all fighting each other. It's a miracle we can hear each other at all, to be honest. Okay, before we get into current comings and goings from Apple, do you have anything to rehash from the last few weeks?
Man, I can't even remember. I'm thinking everything went out the window and stuff turned to change.
Okay. Well, the obvious thing to rehash would be the iPhone Verizon-ness, although, you know, they were supposed to start shipping yesterday, but the day before yesterday, people were already posting, I still have antenna problems. I'm like...
Yeah, I mean, I think they're always going to have... I don't think they fixed anything with the antenna, I mean, as far as probably helping the signal. I don't know anybody who has the Verizon iPhone yet. I just hope it doesn't drop calls. That's...
Well, there's a number of... There's... Actually... If you click this two links at the top here, you might have to mute your system, but it's somebody showing death grips with the Verizon iPhone.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube.
And there's the story, and there's all of that stuff. Here's what I honestly am wondering. If Apple knew this wasn't 100% fixed, why did all the Verizon iPhones not just ship with a clear rubber case? I mean, it black, white, clear, make it aluminum oxide, whatever. I mean, if it shipped with the case, nobody would be trying to do this. They just go, oh, I got my free bumper, I don't care. You know, why did they not do that? Why? Did they want an Antenna Gate 2.0 or something? I mean...
Apparently not enough people are complaining anymore, so...
Well, I think everybody knows this is a problem of the device.
Right.
They know, okay, I'm going to have to go buy a bumper.
Well, I will say this. I have a lot of friends that still have the iPhone. My wife has the iPhone 4, and she drops calls maybe once or twice in a conversation. And other friends that I talk to that have iPhones drops calls as well in the conversation. And I always have like a mantra now, like, yeah, your iPhone dropped the call, you know, and I always jab them with that. But I ask them why do they keep it, and they find that the other features on the phone far outweigh having to deal with dropped calls. And they love the other features so much so that it doesn't bother them. For me, I need to make phone calls. You know, it's quite annoying conducting business, and you've got important people on the phone or something sensitive that you need to discuss, and people are in the airport, they got to go. Like I was speaking to other board members tonight on the way home, and one of them's on their way to Chicago, and she had a very small window that she could speak to me before getting on the airplane, and if we have to deal with drop calls, forget it.
Well, and that's one of those things you honestly got. I guess different people need different things out of it. But like you're saying, a phone that doesn't work as a phone. I'm trying to find it here. I had it in. Oh, here it is. This guy said it perfectly, this was somebody who honestly just had a comment and they were making it, but this was his comment. Like, we got to talking about it. They were trying to convince me Apple was great, and they realized. So I'm not saying, but it's just no other company than Apple can do this. It's like any other company, if a phone that doesn't work as a phone isn't going to fly, but somehow Apple makes it work. And that's...
Yeah.
You have to hand it to them. That's an accomplishment.
They do. I mean, there's people that swear that they never get drop calls, and I know a few of them online that will constantly tell me they have no problems, that the reception is better, and all is well. I can't honestly say that. I very much enjoyed the iPhone, and I waited for the 3G version, and I thought it was pretty neat, and I could do quite a lot of things on it, but I couldn't deal with the drop calls, and that's just my honest assessment.
Well, and it's looking like you're saying it's going to carry over to Verizon. It's like I know y'all have this.
I hope.
It's looking like it is, unfortunately. The fact that they can do it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into the same number of dropped calls and stuff.
Right.
We'll know that in about a week, people of average use.
I'm paying attention to it because I know so many like to blame AT&T. I can't blame AT&T because I have an LG AT&T phone that doesn't drop calls.
Well, no, but see, what it comes down to, is it a coalition or is it more the iPhone than the network? That's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. To me, it's more of the iPhone than the network, in my present opinion, because I own other AT&T phones that don't drop calls. I mean, what else am I to assume?
It's like, and Phil, I asked you this, I forget if we've talked about it on the sign, but y'all don't, is the problem as pronounced over in the UK, or is it more a...
I actually am almost certain for one thing that my phone has got it, but as well, I think that other people have had it, because when I was seeing people who've got the iPhone, they all did have cases on them, and they seemed to be very protective and making sure they didn't use it without it on. So I'm guessing it must be quite severe over here as well, that a lot of people must have had drop calls as well.
Well, and that's one of those things. I think Apple inadvertently made AntennaGate worse than it would have been, because AntennaGate happened right around the time that Apple made it official policy that any cases with screen protectors would not be for sale anywhere that sold Apple iOS devices. And it's like, that was really, like you're saying, you've invested money in this thing. That was really one of the first things people went and bought. They went and bought that all-in-one heavy-duty screen protector case. And Apple said, no, nobody needs cases. The device is good enough, it doesn't need a case. And then that causes thing. Just so you know, Bit, you just got in. You look like you're on Cops right now for some reason.
I look like I'm what?
You look like you're a witness on Cops. That's not on my end, people. I swear. I'm not doing it. Mr. Bit is not.
Look, you know what? You want me to try it on my Mac and see if it improves anything?
Why not?
Give me a second. Let me try this on the Mac now. Alright.
Maybe if he was calling into the Linux box. No, that's coming from his side, though.
I would have thought using the Mac would have worked, because with a lot of webcam software, the Mac only works with iSight, so any other cameras that you use the software that would work on Windows, you don't get.
Yeah, but he was actually trying to use that Microsoft camera with Windows 7.
Well, it's like mine. Mine has it's a Logitech, so mine has software that comes with it for Windows, but on the Mac none of that works. So if it is a software problem, hopefully using it on the Mac will solve that, because obviously no software comes into play.
Oops. I have to cut that frame out. I was trying to cut around and I can't do that. Wait for him to come back. I didn't think it'd take that long. I'm just gonna cut this frames out, I guess.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, and more importantly, aside from that momentary shift, we can see you!
Alright, that's cool. Alright. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, you are getting out of focus occasionally, but not like you were with the smart fixing on that other one. It's like it was trying to focus the clock behind you and like making you pixelated in favor of the clock behind you. Not.
No, this thing is crazy to me.
Yeah, like the clock in the background is not the important part. It's the human in the foreground. I swear.
Let's see here. I'm going to try to improve it here now. I don't use Skype that often, but okay, what are the settings for video? You know, the light's not even on the live cam here, so it's kind of weird that it is working.
Maybe that's burnt out. I don't. Hello?
Yeah.
Well, now it's not working.
No, I know. Let's see. Start my video. Enable people in my context list.
And now from Audio Land, it's Bet! We've angered the Apple gods. Now we've been talking ill of iPhones. The Mac doesn't want to cooperate. It knows we've angered.
Skype shuts off my video if I go into the video settings. That's what was happening. So.
Don't go into the video settings. They're good enough. It's like, honestly, I think everybody knows that the iPhone 4 has antenna issues. The real thing I'm wondering is there going to be an iPhone 5 this year? Because that's going to kind of be a screw you to the Verizon customers who are buying iPhones. The really funny thing about this is all the AT&T. I mean, AT&T spent spent money on a Super Bowl ad to explain that CDMA sucks and you need to continue to use GSM, and
Well, Verizon's already deployed SVDO, so CDMA now with the newer phones on Verizon's network will have simultaneous voice and data.
But are they going to implement it that way? Because we were talking about. They are.
The Thunderbolt is supposed to be the first one to be running SVDO. So I hope they just do it. If Apple makes iPhone 5 for Verizon, I'd hope they would include SVDO on it. So.
Well, and the other thing that I would like to see all the iOS people get is tethering. And that would be a home run for Verizon, to be quite frank, if Verizon would stick to the unlimited data and allow tethering hotspots.
Sure. That'd be great.
Because that's something AT&T has absolutely no interest in. The only way they'll let you have an unlimited plan is if you give up tethering.
Right.
So I'm like, what's the point? So I can have data as long as I promise not to use it. I solemnly swear I will not use my data, so give me all I can have. That's
right.
Cool. Okay. What was the other thing?
But Apple, there's rumors they're going to make a carrier-agnostic phone.
Yeah,
I'm really excited about that.
That's why we started about that, and that is honestly the way these devices should be. This is one of those. This is why I didn't buy a Nexus 1. I was waiting for a Nexus 2 that was going to be using like a Qualcomm chipset that I could take from Verizon to Sprint to AT&T and they were going to work out agreements with all the carriers, so I could just go. I could take my hardware to whatever provider I felt like. And if they pissed me off, I didn't have to go buy more hardware if my hardware still suited me. That's the world I'd very much like to see. I will give kudos to Apple, even though I'm going to be yelling at Google and all the Android manufacturers for, really? You know what? Apple do this? Apple? But I will give kudos to Apple if that is what the iPhone 5 winds up being.
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
No, because that would be very good for the end user, and that it doesn't matter whether they buy it on AT&T or Verizon. They can, if they get mad at Verizon, they don't have to go buy a new phone. If they get mad at AT&T, they don't have to go. That is a win-win for the end user because they don't even have to lose any of their stuff. They don't even have to re-image their phone. They don't have to do anything. They just cancel, reactivate, which is exactly how that should be.
Now, do you think it'll be successful in the United States? When I tweeted that on Twitter there, I had a couple responses say, "Oh, Americans aren't used to doing that. There are no Americans."
Oh, no. Americans are more than used to doing that because we do it all the time with GSM phones. We can't do it with CDMA phones because in the States, they're database locked, and Verizon, Sprint, and all the CDMA companies won't let us bring an unlocked phone over to them and add it. They won't add it to their database. So the only way this is going to work is if Apple can negotiate with Verizon to recognize the CDMA thing of every single phone Apple makes.
Yeah, I do know that those Sprint uses slightly different frequencies within the band. And I know that people have tried to wipe some of their phones, and depending on the technician, like if you go to a store, they'll say, well, okay, if you get past the, well, we don't do that kind of thing, that you usually run into some sort of hardware issue unless the phone came ready with the chipsets to run on, I forget the terminology, and all the bands within CDMA.
Even if the phone came ready with the chipset and all the particular technologies, what you basically have to do is emulate a device that's already in their thing, which is technically a felony. Now, there's plenty of people that do it. Like, they'll go buy a phone, and then they'll make their device emulate the phone they bought that they know is in the network. And they'll
using like an ESN or something?
Yeah, which that's illegal as all hell, but it's the only way you can do it because the way it should work is I take the device to them. They take their little scanner, they scan the number, or they punch in the numbers on the back of the phone that tells them the address for that phone, and they add it in, and then they go, okay, now a manager has to approve this because I'm a lowly grunt and I don't actually have permission to give my friend's phone access, so hold on a minute while the manager comes over, and then the manager will get in and log in and call some 1-800 number and go, okay, corporate, yes, we are actually doing this. This is not theft. We really are genuinely adding a new device to the database. Okay, now let's make the test call. It would be an involved process. It's not going to be the same as activating the SOC because they want to make sure they don't let it be too easy to add it because that's one of the reasons they stopped. People were cloning and adding and doing other things. But it's screwed the end user. Whereas with a GSM one, you just pull this card out and plug it in a new thing.
Well, SIM cards can be used on the CDMA technology. It's just not used.
That's a dirty little secret, actually. Verizon actually has CDMA SIM cards, but they will almost never acknowledge that they exist.
No.
Really, the only people who can get them to acknowledge are people who are coming over from your neck of the woods, Philip. Because y'all were forced CDMA by government bureaucracy, and there's a company over there that, I forget if Verizon owns them or they own Verizon, which way that goes, but they want...
Europe is GSM protection. I mean, they have laws that GSM can only...
They're GSM, but Verizon is a CDMA company.
Right.
So they have GSM phones, and they want their customers to be able to come to the States and use the Verizon network that they have ties to. But because of the difference in the technologies, they can't. Now, if they would have a Qualcomm phone and give them the little card that lets CDMA work and so it's not, but it's one of those things. No. And that may be how the iPhone 5 winds up working. We'll have yet another card. Just buy your new $20 Apple accessory to switch networks.
Right. Well, I hear that in Europe, and Phil can confirm. I think that you have to enter the market. I think is it through Vodafone or something, and then once you've done that, you can pick any carrier you want within Europe. You can just switch from carrier to carrier and not worry about anything. Is that true?
Rather than be theoretical, is that true, Phil?
I'm sorry?
He was talking about like Vodafone or whatever. Like say that again. Could you not hear what Bit was saying?
I was told that everybody who gets an iPhone has to first go through Vodafone or something, or a company, one company, and then from there, once you've done that, you can then just flip-flop carriers wherever you want. But it's like this one gateway, I guess, that every iPhone must go through, and then once you've gone through that gateway, then you can pick whatever carrier you choose.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, I think all of at least all our major 5 carriers, you can go from one to the other, no problems. As far as I'm aware, so, that's the one thing that we do have is that most phones I think are interoperable on all different carriers over here.
Okay.
Joys of GSM.
Well, no. That's the joys of really just Europe being, making it law that it's GSM only. I mean, I'm sure if they didn't have the laws in the books and CDMA were able to compete, I'm very curious how the EU would handle that. Maybe the EU would force a common denominator in that if CDMA carriers were eventually allowed to participate in the EU, that consumers would have to have the technology to be able to flip to any carrier. I mean, that would be interesting to see how the EU would govern that versus the United States.
Well, and what would be really funny there is the only reason that you can't take a Qualcomm device back and forth is because the CDMA people don't want to let you. So I'm sure the EU would stick in and go, oh no, you cannot be database locked. There better to be a procedure to add a new device.
Right.